You fill your house with oobleck, cornstarch, and water in every room. The mixture rises past the furniture. It swallows the stairs, it floods the hallways, now the slurry reaches the ceiling. The structure begins to groan under the impossible weight of a non-Newtonian ocean. Most houses are built for air. Air weighs almost nothing. Oobleck is essentially a liquid rock. Thousands of gallons press against the drywall, the studs warp, the foundation settles deeper into the soil. A strange silence fills the rooms as the slurry settles. The house is no longer a building. It is a giant starch-filled balloon. One small mistake now leads to a very messy conclusion. The tension is palpable. Cornstarch particles are oddly shaped. They don't slide past each other easily. Under low pressure, the water lubricates the grains. The mixture flows, it feels like a thick soup, but apply a sudden force and the water is squeezed out. The particles lock together into a rigid crystalline lattice. The oobleck transforms into a solid. A fast punch turns the surface into a concrete slab. The house is now filled with a substance that decides its own state of matter based on how hard it is hit. This is a non-Newtonian fluid. The physics are simple. The consequences are not. Every movement becomes a gamble between sinking slowly or hitting a wall. Panic sets in, you try to swim. A frantic stroke hits the fluid with high velocity. The slurry instantly solidifies. The water turns to stone. Your arm is trapped in a starch cast. Moving faster only makes the trap tighter. Stillness is the only escape. Pressure increases with depth. The oobleck at the bottom of the living room is supporting the weight of everything above it. The walls begin to bow outward. Drywall is not designed for hydrostatic pressure. Tiny cracks appear in the plaster. Water seeps through the paint. The cornstarch stays behind, clogging the pores of the wood. The entire house is now a pressurized vessel. Structural integrity is a suggestion. The floor joists are screaming. Each beam bends further into the earth. Gravity pulls the mass downward, but the fluid pushes outward. The walls are now bowing by several inches. A single sneeze could trigger a structural collapse. The house is effectively a giant, fragile cornstarch bomb. The pressure on the exterior walls reaches a critical threshold. The building is no longer supporting a roof. It is supporting 1,000 tons of viscous sludge. The ceiling is the final weak point. It was meant to hold a few sheets of gypsum and some insulation. Now it supports the full weight of the oobleck. The pressure is immense. The ceiling joists snap with the sound of gunshots. The slurry doesn't just leak, it erupts. As the ceiling buckles, the sudden shift in pressure causes the oobleck to behave like a solid. A massive plug of starch slams into the attic. Then the structural failure accelerates. The weight shifts violently. The sudden impact turns the entire volume of the house into a rigid block for a fraction of a second. This momentary solidification sends a shockwave through the foundation. The concrete slab beneath the house cracks. The house doesn't just collapse, it shatters. The walls explode outward in a synchronized burst of white goo. The energy release is equivalent to a slow-motion demolition. The surrounding neighborhood is suddenly coated in a layer of white, sticky sludge that resists every attempt to be cleaned. The eruption is total. A tidal wave of oobleck surges across the lawn. It hits the fence at high speed, instantly turning into a solid wall that shears the wood clean off the hinges. The slurry floods the street. Cars are engulfed. Drivers try to accelerate away, but the tires spin fast, turning the oobleck into a solid pavement that locks the wheels in place. The neighborhood is now a starch trap. Firefighters arrive and try to blast the goo with high-pressure hoses. The high-velocity water hits the oobleck, causing it to harden into an impenetrable armor. The more they fight it, the stronger it becomes. The street becomes a series of white, concrete-like mounds. Drainage systems are instantly clogged. The city's sewage pipes are now filled with a substance that behaves like a brick when pressured. The entire block is paralyzed. Every attempt to remove the material only reinforces its structural rigidity. The oobleck has effectively rewritten the geography of the suburb. Your house is gone, replaced by a crater of white sludge that is currently masquerading as a geological formation. The local ecosystem is now primarily composed of cornstarch and confusion. The dust settles, or rather the starch settles. Thousands of tons of non-Newtonian fluid cover 3 city blocks. The cleanup crew arrives with shovels, but as they dig, the impact of the shovel makes the ground turn to rock. Every scoop is a battle against a substance that fights back. The city realizes the scale of the disaster. It is not just a mess, it is a structural anomaly. The entire neighborhood is officially declared a non-Newtonian zone. The physics are fascinating. The results are catastrophic. However, the insurance company remains unmoved. Your claim is denied. The policy explicitly excludes acts of God, natural disasters, and filling one's primary residence with industrial quantities of cornstarch. You are now legally responsible for the street. That is how you lose a house to a kitchen ingredient. Subscribe to the What If Club for more ways to accidentally destroy your neighborhood with basic science. See you next time.